Have you ever felt like you were giving your all in a relationship, only to realize that you were treated like a mere extra in someone else's life? This is a painful reality that many people face, but few have the courage to face head-on. How many times have you tried to justify someone else's behavior, telling yourself that it's normal, that everyone does it? The truth is that it shouldn't be that way. You were not meant to be a convenience, a stepping stone, or a temporary solution to anyone's needs. You deserve to be treated with respect, reciprocity, and consideration. Today, we're going to talk about signs that are subtle, sometimes so silent that we don't even notice them in our daily lives, but that together build an unbalanced relationship where you give everything and receive almost nothing in return. These signs do not only involve major betrayals. On the contrary, they appear in small gestures, in repetitive attitudes, in the way the other person is present or absent. And without realizing it, you are losing something precious, your self-esteem. In this video, you will understand how to identify these behaviors and, more importantly, how to protect yourself from them. We will bring to light the lessons of Stoic philosophy to give you strength, clarity, and courage to act. By the end, you won't just recognize these red flags, you'll also know how to reposition your own value in your relationships. Because the truth is simple, you deserve genuine, reciprocal connections based on respect and mutual admiration. So stick with me until the end, because what you'll discover here could completely transform the way you relate to others and, most importantly, to yourself. Unilateral effort. You know when you feel like you're carrying a relationship on your back? It's like rowing a boat alone, while the other person just enjoys the journey without even touching the oar. This is what unilateral effort is. When only one person cares about keeping the bond alive. You're the one who sends messages, who proposes dates, who worries about maintaining the connection. Meanwhile, on the other side, the response is cold, distant, or almost non-existent. This difference in effort creates an imbalance that hurts. You start to feel undervalued, used, and little by little, emotionally drained. The philosopher Seneca once said, "Often, we suffer more from imagination than from real facts." Many times we persist in these relationships out of fear of losing the person, even when that relationship already does us more harm than good. Marcus Aurelius also reminds us, never trade your self-respect for any momentary gain. If you are compromising your values, your self-love, and your peace just to keep someone around, it is worth stopping and asking yourself, is this relationship really good for me? When you are the only one running after it, making plans, trying to fix what is broken, this generates something even more dangerous, resentment. And little by little, you start to feel even more lonely, even when you're with someone. Epictetus taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth to listen more and speak less." But in a one-sided relationship, it seems that only you listen and care. In modern psychology, this imbalance is also seen as one of the major causes of emotional suffering. Healthy relationships require exchange, mutual effort, and reciprocity. If the scales always tip in your favor, it's time to recognize your own worth. Don't settle for less than the respect, care, and consideration you give. Your well-being must always be your priority. Realizing this is the first step to building truer, more balanced, and happier relationships. Selective availability. Have you ever noticed that some people only show up when they need something? When you need them, it's like they disappear into the wind. But interestingly, when they need support, a favor, or just someone to listen to them, guess who they turn to? You. This is what we call selective availability. A pattern in which someone else's presence in your life depends solely on their convenience and not on genuine interest or concern. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, said, Wherever there is a human being, there is opportunity for kindness. But for those who practice selective availability, kindness only exists when it is advantageous. These people are like hotel guests. They stay as long as it is comfortable and leave as soon as they feel they are no longer getting what they want. This dynamic is extremely unfair and over time can generate deep feelings of loneliness, hurt, and devaluation in the person being used. After all, we all want to feel important to the people we consider special. Marcus Aurelius, reflecting on life, said, "What matters is not what happens to you, but how you react to it." In other words, more important than complaining about the absence of others is to clearly perceive the type of place you occupy in the lives of these people. And based on this awareness, make decisions that preserve your inner peace and your self-worth. If someone only shows up when you need them, if they are never available to support you or even share simple moments, that person is showing you, through actions and not words, that you are just an option, not a priority. Modern psychology confirms this. Relationships where reciprocity is weak tend to create toxic emotional environments, generating insecurity, stress, and a constant feeling of being insufficient. Carl Jung said, "Authentic relationships are fundamental to personal growth." And he was right. There is no way to evolve emotionally if we are stuck in relationships where affection and attention only come with conditions or hidden interests. Epictetus also taught us to focus on what is within our control. We cannot force anyone to value us, but we can and should choose where we put our time, our energy, and our hearts. So if you find that someone only shows up in your life when it's convenient, take it seriously. Your value isn't seasonal. Your importance isn't optional. You deserve to be surrounded by people who seek you out for who you are, not just for what you have to offer. Value yourself. Don't accept being remembered only when it's convenient for someone else. Lack of genuine interest. Nothing hurts more than feeling like the person you're with doesn't really care about who you are. It may seem like everything is fine on the surface, quick conversations, occasional laughter, but deep down, there's a void, a lack of curiosity, of real interest, of true connection. In healthy relationships, there's a natural effort to get to know the other person, their dreams, their fears, their achievements, and even their bad days. But when you are the only one who shows interest, and you realize that the other person cares little about your feelings, plans, or difficulties, it is a warning sign that cannot be ignored. Ancient philosophy already spoke about this. Aristotle said that true friendship is built on the mutual appreciation of good and virtue. In other words, a friendship or any type of relationship must be based on the genuine desire to see the other person grow, not just on superficial exchanges or momentary interests. When the person you are in a relationship with doesn't ask how you are really doing, doesn't show concern for what makes you happy or hurts you, they are showing, with silent actions, that there is no deep emotional involvement. Seneca, reflecting on the nature of human bonds, said, "Relationships should not be established for what we can gain, but for mutual respect and benefit." And he was right. When this genuine interest is lacking, what is left is an empty relationship, where you feel like you are talking to someone who listens out of obligation, and not because they care. Plato, in his writings, also spoke about the importance of seeking the essence of things and people. For him, a true friendship or love should not be content with appearance, but should seek to understand the soul of the other. If the relationship you have is shallow, without sincere exchanges or active listening, it is inevitable that feelings of loneliness will set in. You begin to feel invisible, as if your victories, your pains, and your dreams were too small to deserve attention. Modern psychology also reinforces this idea. Feeling ignored or emotionally neglected in a relationship is one of the most common causes of low self-esteem, anxiety, and even depression. Carl Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist, said that our journey of self-development depends on true connections with other people. Without deep relationships, we become stagnant, trapped in a cycle of misunderstanding and isolation. And here comes the wisdom of Epictetus, one of the great names of Stoicism. You cannot control the behavior of others, but you can control how you react to it. If someone does not show real interest in your life, it is not your duty to convince them or force reciprocity. Your duty is to recognize your own worth and invest your time and energy in relationships that nourish your soul, not drain it. True connection is when someone not only knows your name but knows your story, respects your emotions, and celebrates who you are. Don't settle for anything less. Emotional manipulation revealed. Emotional manipulation is one of the most dangerous behaviors that can exist in any type of relationship. And the worst part is that it is often so subtle that it takes you a while to realize that you are being controlled. Do you know when someone makes you feel guilty for saying no, or when you are constantly pressured to give up what you believe in just to please the other person? These are classic signs of emotional manipulation. The manipulator doesn't ask, he demands in a veiled way. He doesn't argue, he makes you question whether you're overreacting or being bad. He uses your emotions against you, as if your feelings are a weakness to be exploited. Epictetus, one of the great names in Stoicism, said, "External events are not under our control, but our responses to them are." Manipulation is precisely an attempt to invade this natural response that you have to situations. It is a continuous effort to make you act in a way that benefits others, even if it hurts you. Marcus Aurelius also reinforced, "Keep your mind firm, invulnerable to external influences that may disturb your inner peace." And Seneca, always attentive to the subtleties of life, spoke of the importance of protecting the tranquility of our soul. For him, if something threatens this peace, such as manipulation, it must be taken very seriously. In the field of modern psychology, it is known that those who suffer emotional manipulation in the long term can develop anxiety, low self-esteem, constant guilt, and even depression. It's like living inside an invisible prison, where every time you try to be yourself, someone tries to bend you back into the shape that suits them best. Carl Jung, in his theory of individuation, teaches that a fundamental part of personal growth is the ability to recognize what is yours and what is imposed by others. To be manipulated is precisely to lose this autonomy. The cruelest thing about manipulation is that it often comes from the people you trust most, a partner, a friend, a family member. And that's why it's so hard to see it at first. We believe they're acting in our best interests. But here's a simple truth that can't be ignored. Anyone who truly loves you doesn't need to manipulate you. Anyone who truly cares respects your choices and your boundaries. Stoic philosophy teaches us that when we recognize that we cannot change the behavior of others, but we can choose how we react, we gain our freedom. If you notice that someone is trying to manipulate your emotions to control your actions, remember, you have the right and the duty to protect yourself. Defend your inner peace as a precious asset. If necessary, walk away without guilt. You are not responsible for the happiness of others at the expense of your own. Disrespect for limits. If there's one thing that should be non-negotiable in any healthy relationship, it's respect for your limits. Whether it's in terms of time, space, choices, or feelings, your limits are what define who you are and what you accept in your life. When someone ignores or oversteps these boundaries, whether by constantly changing plans, invading your personal space, or disregarding what you've made clear you don't accept, it's a red flag that needs to be taken seriously. Many people think that love means accepting everything, but the truth is that love and respect go hand in hand. And if someone really cares about you, they respect your no, your pauses, your needs. They understand that you are not in this world just to meet other people's expectations. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, said, "The dignity of each individual must be respected." When you allow someone to constantly overstep your boundaries, you are, without realizing it, giving up that dignity that Marcus Aurelius valued so much. Seneca also reinforced the importance of balance. Caring for others is a virtue, but caring for yourself is a necessity. In other words, saying no when necessary and setting healthy boundaries is a demonstration of self-love, not selfishness, as many manipulators try to make it seem. Epictetus, another giant of Stoicism, taught us that we cannot control the behavior of others, but we can and should control our own reactions. This means that if someone insists on disrespecting your boundaries, even after you have clearly expressed them, you do not have to insist on keeping them in your life. You have every right to walk away to protect your peace and emotional health. In the field of modern psychology, the continued disregard of personal boundaries is seen as a form of emotional abuse. Over time, this can lead to feelings of worthlessness, repressed anger, stress, and often a loss of identity. Carl Jung spoke of the importance of integrating different aspects of our personality in order to be complete. And one of these aspects is precisely the ability to say enough, to protect what is essential for our mental and emotional health. Furthermore, Aristotle, with his concept of the golden mean, taught us that balance is key. Neither be too inflexible, nor let anyone walk all over you. There is a healthy balance between excess and lack, and finding that balance is a sign of maturity and wisdom. Those who respect you, respect your boundaries. Those who don't respect your boundaries, don't respect you. Don't be afraid to put up boundaries. They don't drive away the people who really want to stay. They drive away the people who were just taking advantage. And that, believe me, is a blessing in disguise. Exposed surface connection. You know that kind of relationship where you spend hours together, but in the end, you realize that the conversation didn't go beyond the surface. That despite the time invested, you feel like the person doesn't know who you really are. This is the classic sign of a superficial connection, lots of physical presence, but little or no emotional presence. It's like building a house that's beautiful on the outside, but completely empty on the inside. At first, it may even seem normal. After all, every relationship starts with light conversations. But over time, it is natural for there to be an evolution, for you to share fears, dreams, pains, joys. If this never happens, if the relationship always seems stuck in the basics, you're dealing with something shallow. Epictetus, one of the pillars of Stoicism, once said, "Seek relationships based on truth and sincerity." A relationship where you don't feel seen, heard, or understood is far from this ideal. It's a relationship that feeds loneliness, even when you're with someone. Marcus Aurelius, another great sage, reinforced that true relationships are those that contribute to personal growth. But how can you grow in a relationship where your vulnerabilities are ignored and where what you feel or think never seems to matter? Seneca, always attentive to human nature, believed that relationships should be a two-way street, not just a moment of pastime, but a space for mutual support, evolution, and shared virtue. In the world of psychology, Carl Jung spoke of the importance of deep connections for the process of individuation, that is, for you to become who you really are. When we get stuck in superficial relationships, we distance ourselves from this process of personal development. We get stuck in a cycle of emptiness where we pretend to be intimate, but deep down, we know there is no real connection. And here comes a truth that we often prefer to ignore. Shallow relationships do not kill loneliness, they amplify it. Aristotle said that there are three types of friendship: those based on interest, those based on pleasure, and those based on virtue. The first two are fleeting, Only the last, friendship based on virtue, on a real appreciation of the other person's character, is true and lasting. Superficial relationships belong to the first category. They are for moments, not for life. Plato also reminded us that seeking what is true requires effort. It requires seeing beyond appearances. So if you feel like your relationship with someone never deepens, never evolves, never invites you to be more yourself, maybe it's time to ask yourself, is it worth investing so much in someone who only wants to swim on the surface? Real relationships go deep. They embrace your light and your shadows. They challenge you to grow and don't leave you trapped in limited versions of yourself. Shallowness may feel comfortable at first, but it never fulfills what your soul truly needs. Choose connections that nourish you, not drain you. Absence in difficult times. True relationships are not measured by happy moments. They are revealed in difficult times. It is easy to be there when everything is going well. What is really difficult is finding someone to stay by your side when things fall apart. Absence in times of crisis speaks louder than 1,000 words spoken in moments of joy. When you need support the most, whether you're facing a loss, a health problem, or an emotional challenge, someone who disappears is, in effect, showing you the true place you occupy in their life. And this realization, as painful as it may be, is liberating. Epictetus, a wise Stoic, reminds us, "It is not in our control what others do, but it is entirely in our control how we choose to react." In other words, you cannot force anyone to stay by your side, but you can and should choose not to insist on someone who has already made it clear that they do not care. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations on Life and Duty, emphasized that the value of a friendship is revealed in action, not in promise. Friendship, partnership, true love, all are tested in the heat of adversity. Those who value you do not need to be called, they simply show up. Those who respect you do not run away when the going gets tough. Seneca also said, "A true friend is one who bears adversity with you." In contemporary psychology, social support is considered one of the pillars of mental health. Feeling abandoned in difficult times does not only generate sadness, it also generates insecurity, a feeling of uselessness and often depression. Carl Jung spoke about the importance of authentic connections in the process of healing and personal growth. Without people with whom we can be vulnerable, we face our inner battles alone, which makes the burden much heavier. And here comes a great truth. Whoever is only with you in the good times is with your happiness, not with your essence. Aristotle also pointed out that friendships based only on usefulness or pleasure are fragile. They do not withstand the tests of time and life. Only friendship based on virtue, one that admires and values who you are, not just what you offer, is strong enough to weather the storms. Plato, searching for the essence of human bonds, taught that souls that truly connect do not drift apart when the winds change. So if you notice that someone disappears just when you need support the most, don't blame yourself. Don't think that wanting support is needy or exaggerated. Wanting presence means wanting respect. It means wanting humanity. It means wanting true love. You deserve to have people around you who see your worth not only when you shine, but also when you are out of it. People who hold your hand when you can't walk alone. Remember, in the tapestry of life, the threads that really matter are those that withstand the storms. And sometimes, losing someone who didn't know how to be an anchor is exactly what will free you to find someone who truly knows how to be a safe haven. Lack of gratitude and recognition. Few things are as discouraging as giving your heart and realizing that to someone else it seems to have no value whatsoever. You help, you support, you are there, but in return, you receive indifference. Not even a simple thank you, nor any recognition for what you did. This lack of gratitude is not just a lack of manners. It reveals something much deeper, a utilitarian view of yourself. For those who only use you, what you do is never enough, never special. They act as if your effort were an obligation, something they have a right to receive, without needing to value it, reciprocate, or even thank you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Do not do good expecting a reward. Do it out of principle, but even so, know the difference between those who honor it and those who abuse it." Stoic philosophy teaches us that we should act with kindness because it reflects who we are, and not because we expect something in return. But it also warns us we must be wise in choosing where and with whom we invest our energy. If you notice that your gestures, your presence, your dedication are constantly ignored or trivialized, it is time to reflect. Is it worth continuing to invest in someone who only sees what you can give, but never who you are? A lack of gratitude slowly erodes your self-esteem. You begin to doubt whether what you offer has value, when in fact the problem is not with you, but with the other person's inability to recognize it. Carl Jung said, "That which is not recognized becomes poison within us," and he was right. Without recognition, without gratitude, we begin to carry heavy emotional baggage, made up of tiredness, resentment, and sadness. So be careful. Recognition doesn't need to be grand, but it needs to exist. In healthy relationships, small gestures of gratitude are natural and frequent. And if you are enjoying these reflections and want to further strengthen your journey of self-knowledge and personal growth, I invite you, from the bottom of my heart, to subscribe to the channel. With each new content, the idea is precisely this: to bring you more awareness, inner strength, and wisdom to live truer relationships. Because you deserve more than being remembered just for what you do, you deserve to be valued for who you are. We have reached the end of this journey, and if there is one thing I want you to take away from this, it is this: you have the right and the duty to value yourself. Healthy relationships are built on respect, reciprocity, presence, and gratitude. If these pillars are missing, perhaps the best decision you can make is to step away and make room for connections that truly strengthen you. Protect your energy, honor your boundaries, and never settle for less than you deserve. That's the practical solution. Value yourself, and you'll naturally start attracting people who recognize your value as well. If this message made sense to you, leave a like and comment below which of these signs caught your attention the most. I would love to hear about your experience and accompany you on this path of evolution. See you in the next video.